This video assumes that the students have already become familiar with the aspects of honeypots and firewalls. Now, break the students up into teams of 2. Each team should be given the first 2 pages of the activity handout, which consists of the defense budget table, the files and honeypots labeling table, and the maze, which represents a network. Now, you should show the students an example of a completed maze, along with its labeling table. Show the students that the maze represents a network. Now, point out all of the circles that represent firewalls, and the labels found throughout the maze of varying colors and numbers, and show the students that these represent valuable files as well as honeypots. Also, tell the students that the hacking group will not have a labeling table while going through the maze, and that the honeypot in the top right corner will look indistinguishable in comparison to the other files. Now, refer to the labeling table for files and honeypots on page 1. Tell the students that they have to place all 5 files inside the maze. Make sure that they understand that they can place these files wherever they want inside of the maze and that they have to be clearly labeled. Also, make sure to note to the students that these files are of different values. There are 2 $100 files, 2 $200 files, and 1 $400 file. Refer to the defense budget table and tell the students that there are 4 different defense mechanisms that they can use to protect their files inside of the network. 3 of them are firewalls of varying radius, and 1 of them is a honeypot. As can be seen, there are different prices associated with each of these defense mechanisms. To obtain the total price, the number purchased has to be multiplied by the price per item for each of these defense mechanisms. Then, add up all of these prices to get the total price. It is important that the students understand that their total price cannot be greater than $200. Now that the students understand the budget constraint of the activity, as well as the labeling of files, honeypots, and firewalls throughout their network, the objective of the activity can now be presented. The objective of this activity is to cause the hacker to spend the most time possible inside of the maze while trying to obtain files. Each time a firewall is crossed, 3 seconds will be added to the hacker's final time. Anytime a line is drawn through a firewall, it is counted as a cross. Also, anytime a honeypot is activated, 30 seconds will be added to the hacker's final time. It is important that the students understand these time penalties before they attempt to secure their own network. Now might be a good time to review how to use a compass with your students. The end of this video includes some tips on how to effectively use a compass. Now that the students understand the objective and the parameters of the defense phase of this activity, they can secure their own maze. Give the student teams about 10 minutes to plan how they want to secure their maze while staying under the $200 budget, and to place their files and defense mechanisms inside of their maze. This time is of reasonable length, but also forces the students to work together to best secure their maze. Working in teams to address problems in a short amount of time is one important aspect of engineering that we want the students to experience during this activity. While the students are doing this part of the activity, you should walk around the class and encourage creativity. Ask the students questions such as, what is their strategy for stopping the hacker? During this time, you should also announce how much time is left after every 2 minutes so that the teams can be sure to secure their maze in time. Once the 10 minutes have passed, the defense phase of the activity is over. Now it is time for the hacking phase to begin. To begin this phase, ask the teams to exchange their maze with another team. Each team of 2 will then attempt to hack another team's maze. Tell the students that the objective of this phase consists of attempting to obtain all of the valuable files inside the network in the least amount of time possible. To navigate through the network and obtain all of the valuable files, the hackers must trace a line through the maze with a drawing utensil. This could be a pen, pencil, or a colored pencil. There are 2 rules for this phase of the activity. One is that they cannot lift the drawing utensil while they are in the maze. Also, they must pick one entrance while entering the maze. Make sure that the students understand these 2 rules before starting the activity. Also, make sure that the students understand that they are being timed during this part of the activity. While the students are hacking another team's maze, you will be walking around the classroom calling out every 30 seconds that pass. For example, 30 seconds, then 1 minute, then 1:30. It may also be beneficial to write down these times on the board. Make sure that the students know that they can leave the maze anytime that they want to. Also, make sure that they understand that when they leave the maze, they have to write the last time that you called out or the last time that was drawn on the board. They need to record this time at the bottom of the maze that they hacked in the write down how much time you spent in the maze here section. You should stop all hackers after 4 minutes have passed because at this point, most students probably will finish with 0 points after time penalties. After the hacking phase, the hacked mazes should be returned to the original owners. Once all of the mazes are returned to the owners, the 3rd page of the activity handout should be distributed to each group. This page includes the final time calculations table, the final time penalties table, and the calculating hackers final score table. The time spent inside of the maze should be written down in the time in maze row of the final time calculations table. Next, the students should count how many honeypots the hacking team accessed and write this down in the number column of the honeypots accessed row of the final time calculations table. The students should then multiply the number of honeypots accessed by 30 seconds in order to obtain the total time penalty associated with accessing honeypots. This time penalty should be written in the time column of the honeypots accessed row. Then, the students should count how many times the hacking team crossed a firewall throughout their network. Count both in and out. Write this number in the number column of the firewalls crossed row of the final time calculations table. This number should be multiplied by 3 in order to obtain the total time penalty associated with crossing a firewall. Write this time penalty in the time column of the firewalls crossed row. In order to obtain the final time for the hacking team, add up all of the times in the final column in the final time calculations table. Then, the students will find the corresponding final time penalty for this final time. The students should circle the final time penalty in order to make it easier to locate later on. Each group should then add the values of all the files which the hacker was able to obtain. They should then place this number in the first row of the calculating hacker's final score table. Then, the students should write the final time penalty, which they circled earlier in the second row of the calculating hacker's final score table. In order to find the hacker's final score, subtract the final time penalty from the total value of files collected. Make sure that the students understand that a lower score is better, because a higher score corresponds to the hacker being more successful. Now that the groups were able to see how their maze performed, it would be good to ask them to reflect on its performance. Ask them questions such as, what would they change if they were to repeat this activity? What was their strategy for protecting their files? And any other related questions that you can think of. Once this reflection period is over, the activity is complete. There are several possible ways to use a compass. I have found one way that works well with these specific compasses. I assume that it works well with many types of compasses, but if you have your own method that you prefer, then I suggest you use that one instead. And for this demonstration, I will be drawing a 1.5-inch radius firewall, which corresponds to 1.5 inches on the compass. So what I do here is I go to the highest mark between 1 and 2, which represents 1.5. I put my third and fourth fingers behind this arm of the compass. I put my thumb in front to help steady the compass. I then put my middle finger behind the body of the compass, and I put my index finger in front like this to hold it steady. Now, I put the compass firmly on the paper, but I don't push down too hard or else it will mess up the reading on my compass. I also tilt the compass back slightly, again, to help keep it steady. Now, you turn the paper below the compass, slowly and steadily. Your main goal is to make sure that the pencil does not move its reading.